Hi, everybody. This is Dina Jean, and this is the countdown to the Dare to Dream podcast. Here with me is none other than Emilie Rawlings. Hi, Emilie. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me on today. Thanks for everybody for watching. Me in a nutshell. I found out recently that I'm a natural idealist, which means I sort of naturally see the positive in things. I'm an optimist, but we can go into later why that's an interesting thing that I just found out. And what I will say is that I also recently found out that I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. And so from about 10 years old, I can kind of trace it back through to about 5 years ago. I was really struggling with a lot of anxiety. So that's why I was saying it was interesting that I found out that I was a natural idealist, because it was sort of, it was pressure, it was stamping that down, it was stomping that down so that my natural personality wasn't really coming out, because I was quite anxious. And the other little tidbits about me is I started dating my husband when we were 16, and next year we'll be celebrating our 30th anniversary. And then
Congrats.
I have thanks. Yeah, we're really excited. I have two grown kids that actually live in our town here, so that's really nice. And so that's kind of me in a little bit of a nutshell for now. I'm sure we'll get into more later.
So your publicist or the person I was talking to said that you would like to start off with a meditation, or
Sure, yeah, I'd love that. So just to give a little backstory, so Taylor, she's my awesome publicist. Shout out to Taylor. Resilient Innovation is her firm. About 5 years ago, I actually worked myself into complete exhaustion, and that was where the anxiety came in. I was at that point, I was undiagnosed, so I didn't realize the level of anxiety I had, and so I worked myself into complete exhaustion, and I really wasn't able to get out of bed for about 6 months or so. I was just so exhausted. And out of that, I actually came to accidentally find out about the present moment. And really a lot of that was because I was spending a lot of time sitting, and I actually realized that there was this space that I could find where I could sit and I could breathe, and I could actually find relief from these feelings of anxiety, from my thoughts of worry, from stress, and all these different things. And so that is what I call present moment awareness, which is also known as mindfulness, which is really what I do now. And I really advocate self-care, and my main tool for self-care is what I call mindfulness or present moment awareness. And I also call it being the moment. So rather than doing and all these different things, if we can just be. So so I can lead you through what I consider like the access point to mindfulness, which is a breathing practice. If you'd like to do that with me for a couple of minutes.
Definitely.
Awesome. Yeah, so if you're watching and you can, go ahead and close your eyes. And if you can't, that's okay, because you can still do this while you're walking or driving or whatever. So all you're going to do right now is connect to the space where you are. So if you're sitting, connect to the chair. If you're driving, you can connect to maybe the steering wheel or the seat of the car. Just connect to something physical in space. So if you're walking, really be aware of your feet as they're walking on the ground. This is just a first layer of awareness. And the next step is to concentrate or to focus on your natural breathing rhythm. So you're not changing your breathing pattern at all. You're just noticing how your body is naturally breathing. Bringing your conscious thoughts, your conscious awareness to your breath as it naturally flows in and out. So take it just a few moments to notice that. Maybe you notice how it feels. Maybe you notice the temperature, if it's cool where you are or it's warm. You might notice that your chest is subtly rising and falling. And see if you notice anything else about the breath right now. You may notice the quality of the breath. It may feel smooth. It may feel seamless, one breath after another. And you actually may notice now that you're having an emotional response to noticing the breath. Maybe you feel a little calmer. Maybe you feel peaceful. Maybe you notice your thoughts quieting a little bit or slowing down as you're bringing your conscious awareness to your natural breathing rhythm. And see if you notice anything else. And then if you like, if it feels good to you, you can take a deeper breath, inhaling a deeper breath through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And if that feels good, you can take a couple of deep breaths here and just notice how that's different than your natural breathing rhythm. We're just moving into a space of being curious and of just observing and just wondering, just gathering information. Let's see if there's anything else you can notice about your breath, whether you're doing the natural breathing rhythm or you're taking deeper breaths. Just give yourself a couple more moments to see if you notice anything else about the breath, anything else about you as you're noticing your breath. And if it feels good, take a deep breath and exhale. And then just allow your breath to return to a natural breathing pattern. And then if you closed your eyes, you can open them again. And just notice if you feel any different at all before or after. And there's really no right or wrong answer. It's really just about observing and being consciously aware of where you are now in present moment and how it feels. So that's it. So the beautiful thing about present moment and conscious breathing is that it's actually been scientifically proven that if we consciously focus on our breath and we do what's called conscious breathing, then it actually does calm down any stress responses that you have in your body. So it really can help all those types of things. And you can do it, you can do a few breaths. You could do it for 20 seconds. You could do it for 5 minutes. So I call them micro moments. So you can just take what you need and it can help alleviate if you're someone that deals with anxiety or worry or things like that. So that's what I call be the moment process.
Okay. Is there anything else? Any more, types of exercises that you've learned throughout the year?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, like I said, I have what I call the be the moment process, and it's actually 7 layers. And it's just something that I started to practice in the year after my breakdown, after I was coming out of my exhaustion and learning more about myself and learning how to connect to my intuition and learning the things that I needed to do for my own personal self-care. And what I found was that for me, there was these 7 layers of ways that I could connect to present moment. And that was about 5 years ago. So as I've been doing that and as I've been sharing with other people, I'm finding these common threads. And so there are the 7 steps. So the first step was be the breath, which is what we did just now. And then the next step is be the body, which was what we did like very quickly. We like grounded our body to space in the present moment. And then it goes from there. So be in nature. Be the observer of your thoughts, be the observer of your emotions, be movement. So get your body moving somehow or do something creative. A lot of times people find that when they are singing, dancing, being creative in some way, painting, whatever thing that really excites them, they can be really present in the moment. Then the next layer is be a child. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but I do remember many times as a child that I would just get caught up in what I was doing and I lost track of time. So for me, that is really like being present. And then the 7th step is be eternal. And that's called my Be the Moment process. And that is something that is available for free. And the thing that I love about the Be the Moment process is that you don't have to do anything. So it is a guided mindfulness practice that I do that's about 40 minutes and it leads you through all the steps. And all you need to do is be. And so for a lot of people, they really love that they can just sit and listen and learn and experience and that there's nothing they have to do. So I really have loved that. And the nice thing about that is that it's good for people that are brand new to mindfulness. And it's a great way to learn tools. But then also, I've also heard from people that are experienced with mindfulness that it does give them new ideas and new ways to do things, like new tools to add to their toolbox. So that's actually available on my website for free.
Okay, and that actually, the link will be in the description below. And okay, so yeah. What are your biggest struggles when it comes to self-love and self-care? Give me a second. How have you learned from your struggles?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. The really interesting thing about me, and I believe about many other people as I've shared about this topic and talked with other people, is that I was aware of self-care and I knew that it was important. And I actually kind of thought I was sort of doing it. Like I actually was a group fitness instructor. And so I was in the fitness field and I led yoga type classes and I did meditations at the end of classes and I went to women's retreats where we did meditation. So all these different things. So I did have some sort of awareness of self-care. But what I realized was that I actually wasn't really truly knowing myself enough to know what I needed and what actually would be self-care for me. And so I was really not connected to my intuition and to really listening to my body. So my body had been telling me for quite some time that I needed to take a break, that I needed to slow down. And I just wasn't. I was saying, no, I have to do this. I have to do that. I have these deadlines. I have these things I have to do. And all of this. And so I actually ended up really not listening to those things and not valuing self-care in a true, real way. And I actually call it the truth gap, because it's like, if you would have asked me, I would have said, yeah, self-care is great. I think it's really important. But I really wasn't able to make, there was like a gap. I was able to make the leap to really have true, real self-care. And so for me, why I'm so passionate about present moment is because I have found that if I can sit quietly and breathe, just even for a few moments, even for a few seconds, even for a minute, whatever, I can quiet down my mind enough that I can start to hear what I really need in that moment. And I actually sometimes will even ask the question, and I have a lot of people, a lot of my students and people that I help and I share with, I have them sit down and breathe and ask themselves, what is the best way for me to take care of you right now? And just listen and wait and just see what happens. See if something comes up, see if you have an idea, or see if what I really want to do right now is actually just sit and read a book. Or what I really want to do right now is I really want to go on a walk. It could be anything because it depends on the person.
Right.
And so, it depends. And that's why I really don't tell people, okay, this is what you have to do. I say, create the space and then listen. I was so busy. I couldn't hear what my body was telling me, that it was like, help, you're not doing what I need you to do. So, but it all worked out because it worked to the point where I was so tired that all I could do was listen. And then you can trust me. I listened because I realized, oh my gosh, I can't continue this way. I have to do something different.
Right. Right. Sometimes we have to back away from, things in your life that are making you struggle and that are holding you back. And I totally agree with you. And with that being said, if you're not happy and it's holding you back, just, push it away. Just push it away.
100%. I totally agree with that. And very often and I'll speak for myself, I had this idea that I need to do this thing. I have to do this thing. This person is depending on me to do this thing and the other thing. And I don't think that that's always true. I think it is possible for us, if we can just step back and have a little space where we can breathe and just think a little more clearly and, make some decisions about like, what is really the priority here? And do I really need to do this thing? If this was before COVID, but if 5 people invited me to do different things, do I really have to do all 5 things? Or can I make a choice for myself, what's best for me to do? So it's a lot about empowering yourself and saying, no, it's most important that I take care of myself. And once I do that, then I'm able to take care and reach out, and I have energy for other people. That's what I found.
Right now I've stepped back from a lot of the toxic relationships that was just festering me, and it took up a lot of my time, and I had no time to podcast. I took a year off because of these toxic relationships, because I was working on patching them up, this, that, and everything. And then I'm like, you know what? I don't need these people in my life. So I just started pushing everybody out of my life that did not add value into my own life. And I guess it goes, upon saying that, when you love yourself, those toxic relationships are not even relevant. If you're caring for yourself or self-care, those relationships are not a part of that self-care routine, because they're always dragging you away from what your end goal is.
Right, exactly. And I love that you did that. That's so awesome. And I really think that when you listen to yourself, which is what you did, you're like, this is not feeling good. This is not feeling right. When you give yourself a moment to actually listen to yourself, then you can be like, oh, okay, yeah, this isn't really working for me. I want to invest my energy and my time in doing the things that fuel me, that feed me, that make me feel better. I had this actually, and this is part of my book, it's actually available now. So I'm super excited because you're the first person I'm telling that this is available right now. It's called Foundation. And part of the book is that I had this vision, and it was of this clay vessel. And the vessel was filling itself in this river and then filling these other vessels, these other buckets. And I started to notice that the vessel was getting cracks in it and holes in it, but it kept like going to the river, filling up, and then filling the other vessels. So it kept working, basically is what it was doing. And there was more and more cracks. And then basically it kept working, it kept filling itself up, and eventually it just shattered into a million pieces. And I realized that the vessel was me. And it was me not noticing or caring that I was having these cracks and these holes, and I was still trying to like help other people, but I wasn't managing my own vessel. And so I actually learned a lot from that. And I know, that there's the saying that we can't fill from an empty cup, we can't fill others from our empty cup. But that it just really was profound for me, because that is what actually had happened, where I just was not even able to get out of bed. And it was so interesting because in that space, my son was still at home at the time. And so he was feeling like he needed to take care of me. So rather than me taking care of him, or him living his own life and doing his own thing, he was like, I have to take care of mom. And I realized, that just wasn't okay with me, that I really needed to learn how to take care of myself and to make sure that my vessel was whole and solid and secure, so that when I did go fill it up in the river, that it did fill up and it held all the water, and then I could really help other people. So I realized, oh my gosh, it's so true. I really, truly can't support my husband, support my son, support my friends and family if I don't have the energy, if I don't have the bandwidth, if I don't have the capacity. And so that was really a huge learning experience for me. And that's why it's a big part of my book, is because that for me was the story. And that is why I ended up writing the book, because I learned how to listen and repair it so that I could be there for other people. So that's a little bit about my book.
So building on that, sometimes we can't help others without helping ourselves first. And I've had firsthand experience with that as well. And I used to, have many friends and all of this stuff, and I used to help them out. But meanwhile, I was struggling to maintain myself, like my inner self. And, some that I guess like a year ago, I decided that it was time to start helping myself instead of helping others, because if I can't do it for myself, I can't do it for others. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I really experienced that saying, you can't give from an empty cup. And like I said, I knew all of that. But it hadn't been real. It hadn't been reality in my life. So when I started to really connect to present moment and really to start to learn what I actually needed, and then what would actually help me, and I started to do those things, I started for the first time in my life to know what it felt like to have enough energy, to have something to give someone else, and not give until I was completely depleted, and didn't have anything left. It was a new experience for me, and it was so life-changing that I ended up telling people about it, telling my family and friends, and they started to notice that I was different. And it was beautiful, because then my kids started to practice more, self-care, and then my husband did. And so I really love what you were saying about helping other people. And I truly believe, and it's been my experience, that as I started to really practice self-care, and I believe that self-love is self-care in action, or self-care is self-love in action. That's what I mean. So if you really value yourself, you will do these self-care practices. So as I really started to value myself and start to really actively love myself, then that is actually what helped other people around me, because then they were inspired and then they started to understand that they could then have self-care. And so it empowered them. So it wasn't like I needed to help take care of them anymore. It was almost like through my example, they were becoming empowered, and then they were able to do their own self-care. So rather than us like needing each other, we were almost like inspiring each other and doing it in a different new way that I hadn't experienced before. And so that's been really exciting to watch, just the people in my life. And as I share this, and as they really become healthy in their body, mind, and soul, then it starts to inspire other people around them. And it's really kind of contagious. So it's been really cool.
It is actually really contagious.
Yeah.
So what does practicing self-love mean to you?
Oh yeah, I just touched on it a little bit. And I love that you're asking that question, because I really believe, just in the past, I don't know, year or so, I've started to really believe that self-care is self-love in action. So self-care is tangible self-love. So if we really want to care for ourselves and value ourselves, then it does take these tangible things. And like I said, I don't know what it is for others, what is best self-care for them. But what I do believe is that the way that we can hear what we need is by being still, sitting quietly, breathing, and really listening and hearing what is it that I need right now. You know, especially like if you're in a space where maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed, or you're feeling confused about something, or you need to make a decision about something. You know, they're like you're in a kind of like a heightened state of maybe like agitation. So for me, sometimes it's hard for me to make decisions because I can get overwhelmed very easily. And so I'll take a deep breath and I'll just see if just breathing kind of calms my mind, and it gives me some clarity about like doing something, making a decision or things like that. And that's a little bit more of a reactive stance. So like if I'm feeling agitated, I can breathe and calm myself down. But then you can also do it in a proactive way, where maybe you spend some time, like a set amount of time, like in the morning or the evening, or maybe, I mean, honestly, like sometimes even in the shower, like I feel like my mind is a little more clear and I can kind of think about things and problem solve, or going out on a walk and, you know, being unplugged from technology and just like walking and like looking around. Very often those moments are when you kind of have these like aha moments. You're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that solution to that problem. Oh, that's so interesting, you know, or you receive, like for me, that's when I receive stuff to write about, is in those spaces of time when my mind isn't just like, it's like crazy, you know. I'm like, okay, like I have some space. And so that's why I really believe that the most important thing actually is self-love and valuing ourselves and starting to understand how valuable and how worthy and how important we are. And I wasn't able to connect to that part of myself and into what I call my intrinsic worthiness. And I believe that all of us have intrinsic worthiness, and that we don't need to be fixed, and there's nothing wrong, and we're doing our best, and all of those things. And I wasn't able to connect to my intrinsic worthiness until I became a little bit still, until I calmed down a little bit and I quieted my mind. And then there was this other thing that started to come up. And I started to have these conversations with what I call my true self, or my authentic self. And my authentic self was telling me, Emilie, I've been here the whole time. You just didn't know. You were just busy and you couldn't listen. You couldn't hear. You just were super, super busy. And I've been telling you everything you've been asking for and everything you need, you already have. I've been telling you that, but you were just too busy. And so that is connecting, having that quiet space and being able to listen these messages of our worthiness and our intrinsic value and our how much we deserve love and that we don't need to be fixed. This was a message that was coming to me. And I have also found, as I've shared with others, that they've had similar experiences when they have practiced this mindfulness space, this quiet space, that they've also had similar experiences with connecting to their self-love. So I'm super passionate about it because it can truly be life-changing once you tap into that. Once you tap into your intrinsic worthiness and start to really believe it, and know that it's true, it changes everything.
Definitely. Definitely. So here, I guess this is like a couple of questions all in one. Tell us about your self-care strategy program. What can I learn about it or learn from it? And how has it changed the lives of many other people? Also, how can we find the program?
Great. Yeah, it's a great question. So we actually went through it a little bit already. It's my called Be the Moment, and it's my 7-step strategy. And that's what we did at the beginning. We did the breath, the body, and then nature. And we went through our observing our thoughts, honoring our emotions, moving our bodies, and being like a child. So being childlike, being like open and curious and playful. And then that goes into what I call be eternal. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but if you're doing something that you really, really love and you get kind of caught up in it, you sort of lose track of time and you move into this like really interesting space. And a lot of times people will call it like being in the zone or things like that. Or like an athlete maybe that's just like out of their minds doing it, like playing an amazing game, like the best game of their life, you know. And I think that that's part of connecting to present moment. And I really think that's the power. If we are just caught up in the moment, we really can experience this almost like timelessness, like this out of time experience. And so that is my Be the Moment process, and it's available for free. It's on my website, like I said. And the other thing that I'd love to share is just about my book, because it's really a workbook that leads you through my experience of coming out of my time of exhaustion and the different steps that I went through to find relief and to connect to my intrinsic worthiness and to do all these different things. And my book is really cool because it's really a workbook. So there's a chapter and then there's a follow-up companion meditation that goes with it. So so it sets it up and it shares a little bit about my story, and then it shares, you know, what came out of that, and then it allows the reader to experience their own aspect of that thing that I just talked about. And I also created it so that it's pretty quick and easy to do, because I imagine that people that were wanting to find relief from anxiety and worry and that kind of thing, they might tend to be feeling overwhelmed like I was when I worked myself into exhaustion. And so I wanted my book to be that something you could do in bite-sized pieces that you could just fit easily into your life. I actually have had people say that they'll read. It's really sweet. I have a couple people that they actually doing it with their husbands, and so they'll listen at night, because I have it on audiobook as well. Listen at night, and then they'll do the meditation, and then they'll fall asleep. And so they get to like have this nice experience too. So, and the nice thing about it is you can also do it anywhere. you can download it, you can have it with you. And then you can also do these meditations. There's 7 of them, and you can do them in the order that they go in the book, because that was the progression for me. But then you can also, if you really love any particular ones, you can do them whenever you want, and just have those with you. Like I said, I like to say, like in your little toolbox, like, oh, I'm feeling kind of like this today. I'm feeling like overwhelmed with my thoughts. So I'm going to do the meditation that's about observing your thoughts. Or I'm feeling kind of sad today, so I'm going to do the one about honoring my emotions, that kind of thing. So, and that's also available on my website.
Is there anything else you would like to add? Anything? Sorry.
No, it's okay. I would just love to say that if you are feeling overwhelmed or anxious or worried and stressed, and you feel like you want things to change, or you believe that they need to change, and you just haven't found a way, then I would just say there is hope. It's really important that you listen to those things inside of you saying that you're feeling overwhelmed and that maybe you need to do something different, and just really listen to that. And I don't believe that we've connected by accident. I think that everything happens for a reason. So just take a deep breath and honor yourself. And if anything that I have of my offerings would help you, I would love that. I would be very honored if I can help you. But I want to say that it's all inside of you. Okay. If you can sit and breathe and find a way to listen to your intuition, it will tell you what is the best thing for you to do. It will guide you, and you will be better off for it.
Thank you. So I have no more questions for you tonight.
Okay.
So thank you guys for watching this video. This is the Countdown to the Dare to Dream podcast. You can also catch this on the actual podcast pretty soon, and I will put the promo up for that, and I will send you promo as well for that episode. So if you like everything that Emilie has talked about, there will be links in the description below, or if this is in Instagram, because I'm also posting this up on Instagram as well, it'll be at the top of the video. Anyways, thank you for joining me.